So my name is Riekelt Houtkooper, and I'm a scientist in Amsterdam in the Laboratory Genetic Metabolic Diseases. And the research that we are focusing on within the context of my ERC grant is actually trying to connect food research or nutritional research to aging. So the effect of foods in the long term on longevity. And I will tell you in the next couple of minutes a little bit of where we are coming from, the type of work that we did, and also where we should be headed, at least in my opinion, en route to 2030. And I don't think I have to explain for this audience that aging is a societal challenge that we're all facing. So the aging population is growing quite rapidly. The population of 60 years and older is getting 30% or more in many Western countries, but actually across the world, this is growing also very rapidly. And this is not only coming along with socio-economical issues such as pension age and similar problems, but at the same time also it affects different organ systems, so the medical issues that come with this, the brain, the heart, the fat, and the muscle. And in each of these tissues, and I'm not even mentioning cancer, which is also age-related, there's different diseases associated with that. Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease in the brain, and many others in other tissues. And we've come to realize over the last couple of decades that there's two important factors that contribute to the aging process. One is genes, which can either accelerate aging or slow down aging, and the other part is nutrition, which can do the same. Some nutritional components can accelerate your aging, and some can slow down aging. And so it's not a passive process. It's not something that just happens and in the end you die. It's something that is actually can be done something about it. And in research, there's many models that you can use. Obviously, we would like to go to humans. That's ultimately what we would like to do, to get healthy aging in humans. But there's many other basic, simple model organisms that we use for our research. So this can be flies, it can be monkeys, dogs. The naked mole rat voted the second ugliest animal on the planet a couple of years ago. On the top right, you can imagine why. And our favorite model is actually the worm, the bottom middle. And a typical example of the work that we've been doing over the last couple of years is highlighted here. So this is a worm, an elderly worm, 19 days, and in worm life that would be equivalent to like 80 years in a human life. And this worm is basically over the course of 2 minutes that you see here, wiggling its head a little bit. The head side is over here. It's just wiggling the head and not moving around. But then if we silence one of the genes in the worms, we can very easily do this in the lab, it's actually very actively moving around. And this is not just moving around, it's not escaping from the plate, it's very happy. And it lives about 60% longer than the other one. So this worm would reach, in human life, 120. Okay, trying to get to the next, yes. And I won't bore you with all the details, but we've come to the conclusion that this has to do with metabolism. And so what is metabolism? Metabolism basically is like this subway map where the different foods that you eat, either carbohydrates, fats, or proteins, need to be broken down into some sort of energy to keep your muscles moving, to keep your brain active, etc. But you can imagine that, I mean, there's a lot of individual variation between everyone here in the audience as well. And this variation is either, for instance, making the track going from carbohydrates to energy. Some people may have this track, some people may have this bypass route. And this is just in your genes. At the same time, what also contributes is the number of trains you put on each track. I mean, if you have many trains on this track, your carbohydrate will go perfectly fine, whereas others maybe are a bit more problematic. And actually, you can see this, everyone, if I go to the next, yes. Everyone knows these kind of stories in your environment, so friends and family. There's always some people that can eat whatever they like while staying skinny and healthy, whereas others, like myself, I have to admit, even when eating only a salad, already gain a couple of pounds, and in the long term have the disadvantageous effects of these diets. And so this is what we try to understand, but we don't do this in humans. We like to do this in a population study. And again, as I said, we love to work with these worms. And what we did a couple of years ago, actually it was collaborators of ours who did this, they mated a Hawaiian worm, and this is really a Hawaiian worm, with a Bristol worm. And so all the babies or actually the grandchildren, will be a mixture, like in our situation. They will be a mixture of genes between the Hawaiian worm and the Bristol worm. And so we essentially have a population now like our own population, and we can start feeding. Is it working? Yes. Yeah. We can start feeding all these individual worms that are genetically diverse with different diets. And which way should I point? Yes. And this is a worm eating. Actually, you can see here the throat. You can see the food coming in. So we're actually feeding all these different worms with the different diets. We can do this in relatively high throughput. If you do this in humans, it would take decades or centuries. For a worm, it just takes a couple of weeks. And so, again, which way should I point? Yes, oops. What we essentially try to achieve is healthy aging in humans. So we don't necessarily want to prolong life to 150 or 120, but we would like to ensure that everyone lives to 85 in a healthy situation. But to get there, there's still a long road to go. We need this basic research. We cannot just rely on research in humans. We need these different models, including the worm, including flies, and it's going to be a winding road. It's not going to be a straight line to the goal. There will be some roadblocks, and I think it's very important to invest in this kind of basic research, like ERC did in my research and my research team, to make us get to this end goal. Thank you.